Well, in the span of 24 hours, there have been 17 earthquakes near Area 51. It started with a 4.4 magnitude quake just 2.5 miles underground. The area is normally not prone to earthquakes this shallow, and it's leading to theories of nuclear testing or even UFOs, because it all happened after President Trump said this.
I think we're going to be releasing as much as we can in the near future.
Between April 29 and 30, 2026, a swarm of at least 17 earthquakes struck near the remote and highly classified Area 51 military base in southern Nevada. The tremors, which ranged in magnitude from about 2.5 to 4.4, occurred within a short 24-hour window. The largest quake reached magnitude 4.4 at a relatively shallow depth of roughly 2.5 miles underground. While earthquake swarms are not unusual in Nevada's seismically active Basin and Range province, the clustering, shallow depths, and precise timing drew significant public attention because they followed fresh statements from President Donald Trump about releasing government UFO files. UFO files refers to the vast collection of government, military, and intelligence documents accumulated over more than 7 decades concerning sightings and encounters with unidentified flying objects, now more commonly called unidentified aerial phenomena or unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAP. These files include pilot reports, radar data, eyewitness accounts from military personnel, video footage from aircraft gun cameras, internal memos, and scientific analyses. Some date back to the late 1940s, when public fascination with flying saucers exploded after a private pilot named Kenneth Arnold reported seeing unusual objects near Mount Rainier in 1947. His intention was to look for a crashed military aircraft. But as he scoured the slopes of Mount Rainier, something happened to change his life and trigger off a worldwide obsession that endures to this day. He narrated, "At this point is when I would say approximately is where I had this terrific flash hit the air. My aircraft lit up the inside of my aircraft and, I assumed, of course, at the time, in a split second, that it was probably a P-51 fighter that had dove over my nose, and that it was the sun's reflecting upon his bright wing surfaces that caused it. However, before I gathered my wits together, I looked way off here to the north, and that's what I saw where the flash came from. It was an inch-long formation of very peculiar-looking aircraft, and, they were rapidly approaching Mount Rainier. And it was at about this point when I got here, I could see their tail surfaces, or the rear end of them, and the second craft from the rear had a more or less crescent shape, and it had a hole in the center of it. And of course, I kept mulling in my mind. I said, damn, this is the luckiest airplane I ever saw." Over the years, the U.S. Air Force ran projects such as Project Blue Book to investigate thousands of sightings, while other agencies like the CIA, NSA, and Pentagon quietly collected their own records.
I think you've said in the past that you've seen yourself evidence of interdimensional beings. What's that, aliens or?
So the interdimensional beings is what our witnesses will call these things. I have seen evidence in a skiff that leads me to believe there are things we cannot explain, and I have observed things that are of non-human origin and creation. That's my opinion. Again, but there has been a declassification order from the president, and you will see as soon as that stuff comes up.
The public wants these files released primarily because of a long-standing belief that the government possesses information it has not fully shared, ranging from evidence of advanced technology that cannot be explained by known human engineering to possible non-human intelligence. High-profile Pentagon released videos in 2017 and subsequent years showed objects performing maneuvers that seemed to defy conventional aerodynamics. Rapid acceleration, sudden stops, no visible propulsion, and the ability to move through air and water with ease. Congressional hearings, whistleblower testimonies from former intelligence officials, and statements from astronauts and pilots have further fueled curiosity. Many Americans simply want transparency on a subject that touches on profound questions about humanity's place in the universe, potential breakthroughs in physics and propulsion, and whether we are alone. Supporters of disclosure argue that in an era of increased space exploration and public funding for defense programs, citizens have a right to know what their government has learned. Governments, particularly the United States, have classified these materials for several practical and national security-related reasons. Many UAP sightings turn out to involve secret military aircraft, drones, or advanced sensor technologies being tested. They claim releasing details could reveal capabilities, vulnerabilities, and locations of sensitive programs to adversaries such as China or Russia. They have said some incidents involve foreign surveillance, and disclosing how the United States responds to them could compromise intelligence methods and sources. The government have defended itself, claiming that even when a sighting has a mundane explanation, the surrounding data, radar frequencies, aircraft performance metrics, or operational procedures remains classified to protect ongoing military advantages. Additionally, the government has historically worried about public panic, though experts today consider that risk low. Declassification is a slow, bureaucratic process requiring reviews by multiple agencies to ensure no sensitive information is inadvertently exposed. On the 29th of April, 2026, President Trump publicly stated during an event with Artemis II astronauts that his administration would release, and I quote, "as much as we can," of the government's UFO-related files in the near future, noting strong public interest and describing some of the material as potentially very interesting. This announcement came just shortly within the time as the Area 51 earthquake swarm, which raised many questions.
You first on the topic of space, do you have an update on the UFO files and when we're going to be seeing those?
Well, I think we're going to be releasing as much as we can in the near future. For some reason, and I guess it's just a reason that's been in the minds of people for a long time, that is such, they want to find out about the UFOs and anything having to do with UFO or related material, and we're going to be releasing a lot of things that we have, and I think some of it's going to be very interesting to people. I've interviewed people, my first term primarily, but I interviewed some pilots, very solid people, and they said they saw things that you wouldn't believe. So
a major part of the queries centers on the possibility of secret underground nuclear testing. The reasoning stems from the region's deep historical ties to nuclear weapons development. Area 51 is located within the Nevada Test and Training Range and lies adjacent to the Nevada National Security Site, formerly the Nevada Test Site, where the United States conducted more than 900 nuclear tests between 1951 and 1992, the vast majority of them underground after the 1963 Partial Test Ban Treaty moved explosions below the surface to limit radioactive fallout. These underground detonations produced distinctive seismic signatures that could be detected at a distance, and the area remains associated with secretive military activity, including weapons testing. Some sources point to several factors that they believe could indicate renewed covert testing. The earthquakes were unusually shallow compared to typical tectonic quakes in the region, which usually occur at depths of 6 to 12 miles or more. A sudden release of energy at only 2.5 miles underground can produce seismic waves that resemble those generated by an underground explosion. Some geophysicists have noted some ambiguity in the seismic waveforms and described the location and characteristics as atypical for natural events in that exact spot, making it worth discussing in the possible covert underground nuclear test. Astrophysicist Avi Loeb has also suggested the activity could involve human testing of explosives or new technologies rather than purely geological causes. The expiration of major nuclear treaties like New START and current international tensions has added more concern that the U.S. might be quietly modernizing or testing weapons without public announcement. However, experts from the U.S. Geological Survey and most seismologists attribute the swarm to natural tectonic processes and possible fluid movement in the crust. While geologists attribute the quakes to natural tectonic stretching in the region, the combination of seismic activity at America's most secretive military installation and fresh talk of UFO transparency has also reignited broader conversations. Online discussions have linked the earthquakes to the 10 to 12 scientists with ties to classified nuclear, aerospace, or sensitive government programs who have gone missing, and some died under unclear circumstances in recent months. The FBI and Congress are investigating possible connections among these cases. President Trump was asked about the missing scientists on the 16th of April, 2026, and responded that he hoped the cases were random, but expected more information soon.
What do you think is happening here, and do you think that this is connected or totally random?
Well, I hope it's random, but we're going to know in the next week and a half. I just left the meeting on that subject, so pretty serious stuff. But we're going to be hopefully, I don't know, coincidence, if you whatever you want to call it. But some of them were very important people, and we're going to look at it over the next short period.
These has raised many questions that these individuals may have had knowledge related to advanced technologies, UFOs, or secret testing at facilities like Area 51, and that the earthquakes could somehow be connected, perhaps as a cover for activity, a result of an incident, or a sign of underground events involving those researchers. The desire for UFO file releases stems from decades of mystery, credible military encounters, and a push for openness, while classification persists mainly to safeguard defense technologies and intelligence methods. Whether the latest promised releases will satisfy public curiosity or simply add more redacted pages remains to be seen, but the topic continues to capture imaginations worldwide. Thanks for watching. If you found this video informative, please subscribe, like, share, and comment to help us grow and reach more people. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Thanks in advance.